What do you think's the biggest problem facing the Jets?
Well, let's start with this. The Jets brought in Nathaniel Hackett, Randall Cobb, Alan Lazard, and Cook because of Rodgers. Hackett might be the worst coach in football in every aspect. Lazard never plays. Cook is terrible. He's fumbled all over the place. And Cobb was done 2 years ago. Why did they do it? To placate the quarterback. That's why they did it. So now the Jets are stuck with a 40-year-old quarterback who basically is telling the organization what to do. He's here for 2 more years. They don't have a backup. They should have gotten a backup this summer who was a competent backup. Joe Douglas, that's on you. And as a result of that, the Jets are now in a disastrous situation. Now, I watched that whole thing with Rodgers yesterday, and I like Rodgers. He's got a lot to say. He sometimes thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, but he's fun to watch, and, you know, I respect his opinion.
Well, he ain't dumb.
He's not stupid. I understand that. But remember, because of him, the Jets are in this mess to begin with. Hackett stinks, and they can't get rid of him. He stinks. Lazard, they gave $45 million to. He stinks. Cook, they brought Cobb in. He can't play. And Cook, they brought in because he wanted another running back, and Cook never gets into the game. Furthermore, this is not Green Bay. Okay? This is New York City. We have a lot of people who cover this football team.
Yeah.
What does he expect? There's not going to be a leak once in a while? I'll change it. Aaron, get on the field, win some ball games. You're not Joe Namath yet, and then we can sit there and we can start changing the quote-unquote the culture of the Green Bay Packers. This is New York City, for crying out loud. There's 1 million guys who cover the team, and there's going to be information once in a while that leaks out. That's part of the deal. There's 20 million people who live here, and there's 1 million people who cover the team, including Kimberley. So as a result of that, this is just inevitable when you play in this kind of town. It's the biggest city in the world, for crying out loud. But Rodgers now, who gave us Hackett, Lazard, Cook, and freaking, and Cobb, is going to basically tell us, I got to get to the leaks of the problem. Hey, here's what you get to. Get your Achilles organized, show up next year, and win 11 games. And then we can have a conversation about Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, I think the guy's Achilles is performing better than most of us thought, right, Doggy?
I understand.
I'm just wondering, Kimberly, I've never heard that Achilles needs to be organized. Never heard of that before.
Get it together.
Get it together. Get the Achilles together. Can I?
Get the Achilles together.
So, Doggy, I hear you. I think what Aaron Rodgers realized is what a lot of us who have covered the team for a long time have seen. Back when I was a beat writer, we had anonymous sources. We had things that were said nonstop, and the Jets became a circus. I think Aaron finally saw why Aaron is here. Because what this organization has been, it has not been good for several decades, minus a couple good seasons,
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
So here, Dougie, you're saying that Aaron Rodgers, the power that he has is the biggest issue here. But why is Aaron even here? It's because he's the antithesis of what they have had for years, a star leader at this position. Now, Aaron was talking about character assassinations and all that. Same guy who's literally ripping reporters and lumping all media together is talking about character assassination. But one thing I did agree with him on is the fact that to build a winning culture, you can't undermine what you are trying to build. And that is something that has happened for decades with the Jets. And he's finally seeing it. You're mad that, they brought in Alan Lazard and all these guys. We were all in on Aaron Rodgers coming to New York. The Jets finally said, this is the guy we want. They pushed all the chips into the middle of the table and said, this is the man. No one could have foreseen that 4 plays in, 75 seconds or whatever it was, that he'd be done. But that's the reality. And I think we can't kill the Jets for going all in on Aaron. That's why he's here, because they haven't had a leader like this. Now, what we can kill the Jets on, you mentioned Joe Douglas. Aaron Rodgers was the first quarterback in this season of backup quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers was the first one to get hurt, September 11th. And their solution was, let's just throw Zach Wilson out there and hope for the best. Meanwhile, it's now week 12, week 13, and you've got the Cleveland Browns picking up Joe Flacco and feeling like, you know what? We got a good answer here. We got a playoff team, and we feel good with Joe Flacco. So I understand Rodgers may have too much power, all that, but really, Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, what's left? And we've seen, devoid of Aaron Rodgers, this team, there isn't much without him. And that, I think, is the problem. I don't know if that's an Aaron Rodgers issue or if that's an organization from top to bottom issue.
He's a bad man. I saw him yesterday as I was filming a commercial with my man Pat McAfee and Greeny, Mike Greenberg. I got to tell you something right now. It was an honor and a privilege to see that bad man. Now, the only time I've been salty with him was when he lied about the whole vaccination thing. That annoyed me. But outside of that, you don't hear me saying much about this brother because he's something special. You want to bring up Nathaniel Hackett. You want to bring up Lazard. You want to bring up Cobb. You want to bring up all these people. It's because they have Aaron Rodgers, that's why. And Aaron Rodgers said that's what he wanted. And when you're the New York Jets and all you've had to rely upon over the last 50 years is Broadway Joe with his tight shorts from the 60s and Mark Gastineau with the dance and Joe Klecko, and then you had a reprieve with Bill Parcells and stuff like that, and then Rex Ryan gave you Mark Sanchez. My God, Aaron Rodgers arriving in New York City is the closest thing to a savior that the NFL in New York has had. Of course they're going to sit up there and appease him. We all know that Nathaniel Hackett should thank his heavenly stars that Aaron Rodgers is his guy because it's the only reason he got a damn job in the NFL. In some people's eyes, now I think he'd have a job. He just wouldn't be a coordinator, and he damn sure wouldn't be a head coach. But that's neither here nor there. But the players that he wants, if that bad man, that Super Bowl champion, without question, one of the top 5 quarterbacks in history, talent-wise, one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the history of the National Football League. If that brother says to you, that's right, I said it. I said talent. I didn't say stats. I didn't say numbers. I said talent. As a talent at the quarterback position, Aaron Rodgers is one of the top 3 talents in the history of football. And if you are a perpetually moribund franchise, desperate for relevancy, okay, in the swamp in East Rutherford, New Jersey, stinking up the joint with your play before we can even get to the smell of the swamp. And this man says, I want to come and play for you. I don't give a damn if he wanted daily trips to the masseuse. You know what I'm saying? Pedicures, manicures, car service everywhere, tickets to Taylor Swift concerts and whatever the hell else you want to come up with, okay? I don't care what he wants. Give it to him. And if that means Nathaniel Hackett, so be it. Because if Aaron Rodgers hadn't gotten hurt, the Jets were a Super Bowl contender. No one disputes that. He's a bad man. Respect that man, doggy.
Which quarterback do you think has a better chance of reaching the Super Bowl? Is it Dak in the NFC or Josh Allen in the AFC?
I think it's Josh Allen. I know that sounds crazy because Dallas will be in the playoffs and Buffalo may not even make it.
Yep.
But the AFC is so wide open. I don't trust any of these teams. And if Josh Allen made it, they are going to be very dangerous. The problem that Dak has, Philadelphia and San Francisco, both on the road, and I don't think he's going to win both those games. I think that's too tricky for Dallas. There's too many good teams in the NFC at the top. In the AFC, with Kansas City not being as good, I don't trust Tua. We did that already. Lamar's only won 1 playoff game. I think if Buffalo makes it, they can make a run. I'll say Josh Allen.
I'm going to say Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys, doggy, and I'm going to say it's by default. I get what you're saying about the NFC. Certainly the Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers definitely are impediments to any success for anybody else hoping to come out of the NFC. But when I look at Buffalo, I don't see a team. I see a roster filled with individuals wearing the same uniform. They haven't looked like a team a lot of times this year. They've looked a bit fragmented. They haven't been on the same page. They fired their offensive coordinator. You've got people wondering about McDermott. Obviously, Josh Allen was turnover prone, even though he's had some spectacular moments, particularly over the last few weeks, and he played really well in that game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Give credit where credit is due. We've seen Stephon Diggs. 1 minute he's okay, another minute he's a bit temperamental. We've seen Gabe Davis and him and Josh Allen, the miscommunication on the surefire touchdown that would have been in overtime that would have sealed the deal for Buffalo against Philadelphia, but he ran left. Josh Allen threw right, and you got what you got because Philadelphia Eagles ultimately won that game. There have been too many instances where we've seen enough from McDermott to know that he can coach. So we're not questioning his coaching acumen, but for some reason, doesn't seem to be on the same page. Brian Dable left a couple of years ago. Their offense is even though it's been potent, there's been something missing in terms of continuity and seamlessness.